All right, welcome everybody to the digital chapel. It is 8:59. I'm going to wait a few seconds until we get that notification from the Ao1 Life app, and then we will get started once it gets to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stick around for a few more seconds, and we will be live. All right, it is 9 Eastern Standard Time. We are going to get started with the Ao1 Life Digital Chapel. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brian Smith. I've been on staff with Athletes in Action since 2009 and really been at the University of Wisconsin on staff since 2011. That was my long-term placement. We just moved from Wisconsin to the Grand Rapids, Michigan area. And so just kind of switched roles within the ministry, but I'm in Grand Rapids right now. And if you remember from a few weeks ago when I did the last live chapel, I mentioned that we had cows now. And so I'm a city boy growing up, even lived in the city in Madison, but now we live out in farmland. And so we got a few cows. And last digital chapel that I did, I mentioned that some of those cows were sick. And so I had a few people reach out and say, I hope your cows are getting better, and offer some advice. And wanted to let everybody know, yes, my cows are healthy and they are getting big and fat and they are thriving right now. But here's one thing that I've learned while raising cows is every morning we wake up and we go out there and need to feed them first thing in the morning. And the more that cows eat, the more they crap. Like it is ridiculous the amount of manure that a single cow puts out in a given day. And so if we go days without cleaning the pen where they stay, like it just gets filthy and stinky and ridiculous. And because they're dumb, like they don't know any better, they just like sit down and lay in it. And so if we're not consistently cleaning out where they live and sleep, like they're just caked in their own crap, which is absolutely disgusting. But it makes for really good spiritual application, which is what's going to happen tonight. I'm going to make some good use out of my cow's crap. And so one of my favorite verses of all time comes from Proverbs chapter 14, verse 4, and I'm going to put it on the screen in a minute. But I love this verse because as somebody who's been kind of tasked with leading people over the last decade within the ministry of Athletes in Action, this verse continually comes to mind to help me know what to expect as a leader. And I'm going to unpack that in a second. But this is what the verse says. Proverbs 14:4 says, "Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox." I'll read it one more time. "Where there are no oxen, the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox." Proverbs 14:4. And I love this verse because what he is saying here is that essentially he doesn't completely unpack it, but what he's saying is if you have a clean manger, that means you have no ox. But if you have no ox, that means you absolutely have zero crops. On the flip side, if you have an abundance of crops, that means you have oxen, but it's also going to mean your manger, so where they're staying, is going to be absolutely filthy. It's going to be filled with crap. And so he's saying, like, if you prioritize crops and you prioritize an abundance of crops, you need to expect that there's going to be some crap involved. And on the flip end, if you care all about just keeping your manger clean and keeping things nice and tidy, and you prioritize that over fruitful crops, like you're going to have a clean manger, but your family's not going to eat. So in leadership, I think we can draw some really good parallels from this. Like if you are leading people towards a common goal, you need to understand that there's probably going to be some crap involved. And if there's not, I would say you're probably not leading them or maybe even involved in something that's actually significant. And I'll say that one more time. If you're teamed with people and going towards a common goal, and you guys are not experiencing any conflict, any pushback, any like inner frustration with each other, any crap within your team, I would say your goal is probably not big enough. And so I want to draw three things from this verse that I think we can apply, hopefully as athletes, maybe tonight. I'm hoping tomorrow, potentially this week. But I think from this verse, there's a few things that we can apply. Number one, we need to understand that any disappointment we experience in life always comes from an unmet expectation. Any disappointment we're going to experience in life always comes from an unmet expectation. And so here's the expectation. If you are on any sort of sports team, you are going to have to, at some point or another, deal with crap. Like you are going to have to deal with frustrations of a teammate who maybe has said something behind your back, or something that a coach said to you that maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't. But at some point in your athletic career, probably even this fall, you will or have dealt with what we would define as crap. So just this like conflict within the team that you have to deal with. And so if you don't expect that, that's going to be really, really frustrating. Now, if you understand that within a team environment, there's always going to be some sort of conflict that needs to be dealt with and manage some crap, it makes life a lot easier to deal with. And so if I have to go to the barn every single morning, and when I go at like 7 in the morning, I'm just shocked that there's poop laying on the ground, like, what are they doing? Like, I'm going to be a miserable person every single morning. But if I go in with the expectation that this is just what cows do, they eat a lot and they poop a lot, and I have to clean it up, it's still going to stink and it's still going to be messy and I'm not going to enjoy it. But my proper expectations going into it are going to help my mood the rest of my day. So we need to expect that there's going to be some sort of conflict within the area of sports that we're going to have to deal with. Two is we need to clean it up quickly. So when there's crap or conflict on your team, to clean it up quickly. Proverbs 16:28 says this: a perverse person stirs up conflict, and a gossip separates close friends. A gossip separates close friends. So we run the risk, if we don't clean up this conflict quickly, of potentially separating good friends if we're just going to default to talking about it behind our teammates' backs or our coaches' backs. We run the risk of separating as friends. So Matthew 18:15 actually gives us the solution to this. It says, if you have a brother or sister who sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone or her alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother or sister. And so what Matthew 18 is saying is, if you have an issue with a teammate or a coach, don't talk about them behind their back to somebody else, but go directly to that person and handle it face to face. Like that's the best way to clean up conflict or crap. The last thing is get all of it. So if one is to expect that there's going to be conflict or crap within a team environment, two is to clean it up quickly, three is to make sure that you absolutely get all of it. So again, making my parallel to my cows, if I'm going and I'm just shoveling out half of the poop every morning, it's not going to do me or the cows any good when I go in the next day and I have twice as much to deal with now. So making the parallel to your team, get all of it right away. So put absolutely everything on the table, face to face with somebody. And if there's something that you're hiding, or something that you think is going to cause an issue down the road, talk about it right then and there, get it on the table, and deal with it. None of this is going to be fun. Like, cleaning up crap, dealing with conflict is never fun. I don't think I've ever met one person who says they enjoy getting into conflict and doing conflict resolution type stuff. But it is the most healthy way to keep your team within a healthy team culture. Like, you need to be a man or a woman who's in charge of helping to clean up the crap on your team. And sometimes that just means calling it out face to face and having those hard conversations. I love Proverbs, because what it does, it just provides great wisdom for living like this that we can then take and say, what does it look like within the context that I live in right now in 2019? How can I apply this within my environment today? And so this was just one from Proverbs 14:4. What I'm going to be doing the rest of the week in the devotionals is just taking a different proverb a day, laying it out there in the devotional, and then talking about what does it look like to apply that within the context of sport. And so hope you guys enjoyed today. One last thing before I take off. Intern applications for Ultimate Training Camp are actually filling up fast. I think they went live, excuse me, last week. And last I checked, we already have like over 50 that have sent in. And I think there's another 40 or 50 that are in the application process. So if you have any desire to be an intern, get that application in ASAP, because the last thing we would want is for somebody who has great intentions to do it, but they think that if they just wait 4 weeks and they'll just figure it out then, we might not have a spot available. And so if you have any intentions of doing that or hope, get that done this week, and we'd love to see you at UTC with us this year. Thanks, guys.